Serious, what's the best ghost story you've ever heard? That one night this girl had a dog that would search the house and lick her hand if it was clear. One night, it took a little longer than usual, but she felt the lick on her hand, so she thought everything was alright. Next morning she found the dog chopped up in the freezer and a note that said humans can lick hands too. I woke up in the middle of the night and heard my mom calling me from the kitchen. As I walked to the kitchen, my mom called from her room, "Don't go. I hear it too." My cousin started going to church and then one night slept at my aunt's house. He was sleeping when he felt something in the room. He woke up and saw a spider-looking thing. He said it was walking on 4 legs. My cousin decided to tell him to go away in God's name or something like that. Then this thing just laughed at him and told him that he wasn't ready for doing that. My cousin kept praying and the demon disappeared. My mom and brother told me this story. When I was 2, I lived in a house owned by a Haitian lady who practiced black magic. The house was 5 ways to hell. Doors would slam. We had a dog and he would always freak out as if he had seen something. One time I fell down the stairs although we had a baby fence, and brother used to hear children's footsteps patter about. I had a high fever and a seizure in the house that almost killed me. Funny thing is though, years before that lady had a child that died at about my age. Freaks me out every time I hear about it. I was like 14 or 15 at the time. I was in the living room and then I heard the fridge open and close. I was like, oh okay, maybe it's my mom. I never thought of anything else. 30 minutes after that my mum called me and asked me if I was in the kitchen getting some water. I said no from the living room. I realized what just happened and ran to her room and asked her if she was in the kitchen earlier, and she said she hasn't left her room the whole night. So, none of us did it. I immediately turned off the TV and slept with her that night. It was fucked up because it was like 2 a.m. My grandparents used to own a farm. The barn had burnt down years ago, so just the house and huge land remained. It was built in the 1800s. When they decided to sell it, they hired someone to paint the house. The guy they hired said he had painted many haunted houses before, but when he was in the farmhouse, he felt a presence. A presence that was so unsettling that he ended up booking it to his car to freak out for a bit. He ended up going back in and it wasn't that bad after it. My family went up to do general cleanup of the farmhouse and to say bye to the property. In the basement my mum told me to go stand in a specific corner, and when I did, I can't describe the feeling. It was like a sudden intense feeling of being watched. I even got goosebumps. I later learned that the son of the builders of the house was playing out on the property by the river with a friend. They were playing with his dad's guns. One accidentally shot and killed the other and then later killed himself due to guilt. Apparently it's one of the boys that haunts the farmhouse, but my mum and her family went there for years and never considered it haunted. A second, funny ghost story. The neighbors in the house across the street from the farm had an unusual encounter. The lady said that every single night she'd be woken up by a pioneer woman sitting at the edge of her bed to just talk. That's all. And it was every night like clockwork. I think the neighbor began to get so annoyed at being woken up every damn night by a ghost that had nothing important to tell her. She ended up telling her to leave her alone during one of their conversations, and the lady came back less and less. One day a boy was walking along the road when he saw a picture lying on the ground. It was a Polaroid of a girl making a peace sign with her fingers. He thought the girl was cute, so he kept the picture. Later that night, he heard female laughter coming from outside. Curious, he went outside to see if he could find whoever was laughing. The sound was moving away from him, so he followed it, until he walked into the road and was hit by a truck. The next day another boy was walking along the road when he saw a picture lying on the ground. It was a Polaroid of a girl holding up 3 fingers. One night I stayed up late watching TV, and at around 4 in the morning I heard scratching noises. I thought it was my dog. when my dog walked out from my bedroom, opposite side of the house, and growled at the garage door. I jumped up and made sure it was locked. In my house the garage wall is behind the couch. I heard more scratches and then something started banging on the door, really loudly. The door was shaking and my dog was growling. I looked down and saw that the cat door was being pushed open. I put on my boots that were next to the door and kicked it back into the garage. I heard a loud crash. I heard it start to push things off the shelves and quickly escalate into pushing over the shelves themselves. I went and told my parents. It stopped when my mom got up. My mom was freaked out by how the dog was acting, so she just checked the door again and we went to bed. In the morning we checked the garage and nothing was out of place. I don't really think my house is haunted, but it was very strange.